Talk about a wake-up call. I heard like conferences are boring, but not this one. That's all I'm saying.
We're not going to be able to match this.
No, we're not. You know why? Also because this panel is called the Extra Mile, and this guy knows what is it? The 8 Mile by Eminem. So if we get enough big of a crowd, he promised he's going to rap the 8th Mile. All right.
I'll do it.
All right.
We need every seat filled, and I'll do it.
Doors.
Exactly. All right, so in this panel, we're going to be tackling everything marketing, sponsorships, all the stakeholders involved with really what is about synergies and partnerships with brands, with people, with fans, especially in lead to the 2026 World Cup. Because, I mean, raise your hand, that's on everybody's checklist, right? I mean, that's why everybody's moving to Miami, too, AKA like me as well, as of a week ago. But I'm going to introduce who our panelists are, as well as myself. So I'm going to start with, to the left of me, and we have Patrick Lowe, who is the head of commercial partnerships at LALIGA. We also have Matt Ferrel, who is the head of marketing at TickPick. And we have Sam Cathcart, who is the associate director of sports at Wavemaker. And I'm Melissa Ortiz, your host of this panel, Olympian, former professional soccer player, turned broadcaster for TNT Sports, Fox Sports, influencer, and just like a good vibe, I guess. So
Forgot where she got her start.
yeah,
Hype woman.
I actually got my start in digital at LALIGA, so credit to LALIGA. They've always been super supportive. So let's get this party started. 2026 is on the horizon. There's a lot of brands wondering, how do I get involved? When should I get involved? We talked about earlier when we were planning for this, FOMO, the fear of missing out. Because a lot of brands want to activate within the sport with fans. But I'm going to ask this first question to Patrick. When is a good time to start activating, or is it maybe too late?
It's a good question. Thank you, by the way, for not asking us to introduce ourselves, because
You're welcome.
your introduction is, we're not going to match it. We'll probably not match the hype either.
Okay.
But it's a good question. I think for me, I mean, we're obviously coming at it from a league perspective, but if I'm in the seat of a brand and you're not thinking about soccer and soccer marketing and soccer partnerships, you're probably not doing your job. Perhaps you can explore it and it's not for you, and that's okay. But if you're someone who's not looking at soccer and you're not active around the sport, yeah, I think the time is already kind of not passed, but it's ticking. 26, we've been talking about it for a long time, but it's obviously right around the corner. I think the other thing is that soccer and global sports are stopping through America nonstop right now. If you look at 24 Copa America, you look at 25 Club World Cup, you look at 26 World Cup, you look at 27 Women's, you look at 28 LA, it's going to go beyond. So the time is definitely now. And if you're not considering it or exploring it, I think, yeah, you're not doing the right thing.
So time is ticking, and Matt, you're from TickPick. Haha, did I get any jokes? Jesus, tough crowd out there.
Good enunciation. Good enunciation.
Everybody check your phone.
Yeah, TickPick, T-I-C-K, pick, right?
Yes.
Okay. You tell me about the timing as well. Ticket sales, that's a rough category. I'm just going to put it out there. That's hard. So what about timing and strategy and planning in terms of partnerships that you guys do at TickPick, but also with the timing and strategy going into 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting time in entertainment in general. As Patrick was saying, like, it's not too late, but there's never been a bigger moment or a more culturally connected moment with sports and entertainment. It really is driving the market, not only in the States, but internationally. And as mentioned, soccer, football is growing tremendously in the country. From our perspective, we're trying to make sure that fans get the best experience domestically during the game. And in a lot of ways, what's happening over the next 4 years will be wholly unique to a new soccer fan. And attending a game is something that's possible domestic. You can go to a summer league game for a European league. You can go to MLS. You can go to NWSL. These are things that are happening every year in and year out. But the big moments, the 7 wonders of the sporting world, are coming over the next 4 years. And I think what we're seeing in entertainment in general is buying a ticket is great, getting a ticket is great, but people are looking for that plus. you know, that premium experience, that opportunity to get closer to the teams that they love, the players that they love, and really understand how big these moments are as they enter the country for the first, you know, significant time.
And Sam, we'll keep talking about where you're at.
So how bad would I be at my job if I just said, you know, actually it's too late, like brands should stop, you know. Yeah, it'd be panel be over. I wouldn't be very good at my job. But no, to Patrick's point, I think the time is right, and I'm, you know, none of my clients, but at Wavemaker we get the brand partnerships equivalent of the question that was asked when Bastian Schweinsteiger joined Chicago Fire and was asked, you know, is this the year you win the World Cup with Chicago Fire? Like, brands want to get involved with the 26th World Cup. They don't know what it means for the most part. There's a small subset of you know, very sophisticated brands like TickPick that know the space very well. Shout out to my client DoorDash in the crowd. Also knows the space very well. But yeah, it's not too late, and we are here to help guide you.
In a market that's so hyper slammed or competitive, especially with so many brands that want to interact, gain fan loyalty, then you also put into that brands, clubs, leagues, influencers. How do you stand out from the rest? And I'll first put this to a La Liga question, as you guys gain fandom, gain those fans, but then also take advantage of the hype of soccer in this country.
It's there's no silver bullet. I think when we look at La Liga and we look at probably who's consuming, who's watching La Liga, it's a variety of fans. I think we all know that soccer fandom in America has a lot of duplication. You have Santa Fe as your team in Colombia.
Any Santa Fe fans in here?
There we go. There we
Santa
go.
Fe.
And then you probably have Melissa Ortiz is also a Atletico Madrid fan.
Facts.
So I would say when I look at soccer in North America, I'm a 49ers fan. If you're walking around in the US, you're probably going to see many 49er fans in Dallas, but you'll see a Real Madrid jersey no matter where you are, and you'll also see that Santa Fe love too. So you have that strong duplication. And so when we look at fandom, we look at how people consuming La Liga, there is no silver bullet. We're not just going to be like, hey, we're La Liga and we're here. I mean, gone are the days where we post happy birthday Leo when Messi was playing Barca, and maybe you get 1 million of these, but does that actually move the needle? Does that actually engage with our fans deeper? The answer is no. So I think when we look at it for La Liga, how are we connecting with fans beyond the 90 minutes of a football match? What are we doing in Miami, which maybe is very different? We're connecting with Colombians, Argentinians, Brazilians, compared to Dallas or Southern California, where it might be heavily populated with Mexican fandom. So you can't paint it with one brush. And so for us as a league, it's finding those stories. It's connecting with fans' passion points, whether that's through content, whether that's through activations. We're doing 40 watch parties this year. So events, activations, content, and it's also very much every partnership we do has to be solution-based, because when we go to work with a brand and we're looking to connect with fans, if you just come out with, hey, we have LED boards on a Real Madrid game, it's not going to move the needle for a partner. It's not going to connect with fans. And again, then you're just painting it with one brush. And it's not going to work. So.
And I know at these watch parties, because I've been to some of them, specifically in New York City, you guys bring in legends as well, whether it was Iker Casillas to, I don't remember the other.
And we're getting, I would say, as sophisticated as you can be with it. Certain legends will just eclipse it. I mean, if you bring Iker, you're going to pack the place. But there's other legends that we have that will work really well in Southern California that maybe we wouldn't bring to Miami. We had Javier Mascherano in Miami, and we did a drive to retail with Verizon where we brought people to a Verizon store, and for Mascherano, people were lined up around the block. And so, yeah, we're bringing legends. I mean, you have to program it. We have colleagues here who are far more sophisticated than I am in how they activate it, and we have partners too with C11 and a bunch of different people where they help us bring it to life. And I would say it's very well informed, and it's based around insights and everything we know from how our fans like to consume it to, again, be authentic. And yeah, you don't want, I'm sure I'll take 1 million thumbs up on a social media app, but I also want
On
those.
on his personal account. That's it.
It's just when we do co-posting.
Collabs.
Collabs
Collab?
together. Yeah. I get more than just my mom liking the photo, but yeah, no, it has to be authentic too. Fans now will sniff out the BS. So.
And Matt, with TickPick, what is a differentiator in how you're connecting with the fan base? It's because, as you said before, it's transactional at the end of the day, buying a ticket to a game. But what else can you do to give that extra plus to create that connection between the platform and the soccer fan?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, ours is a utility, right? Like TickPick, for all intents and purposes, is a secondary marketplace. It gives fans the optionality to buy and sell tickets when they own them or are looking for them closer to the event. But what it does, I think at its best, is solve what the universal challenges of fans are, which actually simplifies our entry into soccer quite nicely, which is they're not hoping to pay a lot. They're hoping to pay what they're seeing, aka no service fees, which is sort of the foundational component of our brand. But what we're trying to do is also bridge the gap of the fans' experience and what the organization, the team, or the league is putting on the field. And so we're trying to close that gap between a massive worldwide team, franchise, league, and what the community is doing to support it. So can we bring fans onto the field during warm-ups? Can we have a watch party with La Liga and create some interesting or unique opportunities for them to meet legends? We're doing something with La Liga right now, which is talking to fans about the first time they went and saw their favorite team play live. And I think it brings back to everybody's mind why they entered the industry that we all work in, which is the amount of love, the amount of passion, the core memories that experience can provide. We're trying to bring that to a broader audience. And I think in the football soccer world, the passion runs so deep, it runs so generational, that these stories matter that much more. And if we can advocate on behalf of the fan, give them the opportunity to see their teams in unique, intimate ways, I think we've done our job, and I think we're benefiting the broader soccer ecosystem because it's developing new fans, deeper fans, and hopefully lifelong connection to those teams.
Yeah, I think the experiences are what, you could pay $100, $1,000, whatever it is for a ticket to a game.
You're rich. $1,000.
I mean, Miami's a lot cheaper than New York City. But whatever amount of money that you pay, at the end of the day, you kind of forget what the dollar value was. It's more the experience that you take home with.
Yeah.
So on the app or the platform or website, fans, consumers, they buy those experiences?
Correct. Yeah, so we're working with, obviously in the soccer space, but we also have partnerships with the Los Angeles Rams, the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's opportunities to sort of build that plus-up experience of this is a great ticket, but for the Eagles, for example, you can bring, during the start of the game, bring the American flag onto the field with 100 people, and so you have this on-field experience. You can watch players warm up and things along those lines. And I think from our point of view, it's first you can get access to the stadium. Second, you have a story that you can share, and you have that deeper connection. So I think, we talked about this actually, in preparation for this. There's sort of never been a bigger gap between the enterprise value of leagues, teams, and the foundational support of them, aka the fans, the communities that have brought those teams, organizations to these cities. And so if we can create sort of that gap, or fill that gap in between those two, I think we're doing our job of just sort of advocating for the fan to feel closer to an organization that has grown, probably beyond their reach from when they started following. So that's our big focus.
And it's great for us too as a league because a lot of the times we're doing partnerships, you want to be able to bring value to your fans. And it's hard. Ticketing can be a really awkward, difficult place to navigate. And when we look at any partnership we have across the board, are you adding value to the fans? And is it soccer related, football related? Those are two of the key components. And so what we do with Matt and TickPick and just any other partner, it checks a box for us, so it makes it a lot easier.
You mentioned bridging the gap. Well, we have a bridge connector here as an intermediary, Sam. What is it about the agency in your job to connect those not only types of experiences, but really, bridge that gap in between, whether it's the league, the club, the brand, and the consumer?
Yeah, totally. Great question. I think these guys nailed it in terms of like what value brands can bring. Obviously, there's a certain type of value in the form of like earned media value, where a certain soft drink brand was their LEDs were playing in the background of Leo Messi and the Argentinian national team's World Cup deciding penalties, and that ROI on their investment is probably significant from a media perspective. But I think the impact that brands can have on fans in general and their experiences, and I think something that comes to us as agency representatives, where we are being sort of these intermediaries between our clients and potential partners, is our clients, not mine of course, but some are saying, well, we have our own objectives and we want to sell X, Y, and Z. And if you're not taking the corresponding partner platforms product into perspective as well, it's just going to fall on deaf ears, right? We're partnering to reach those fans, so we need to give those fans some value that they're not already receiving, and that's generally how we spin it.
I think it's a good point too, because for us, a lot of what we've done, again, it's always to continue to connect with fans, to grow our audience, work with ESPN and partners. But when we go to partner with a Verizon, we've been partners with Verizon for 5-6 years in the US now. Incredible brand, incredible people. When we first started speaking to them 5-6 years ago, they were pretty open. They were like, we don't really have an awareness issue. I don't think people are going to watch a La Liga match, watch a Real Madrid game and be like, oh, now I know what Verizon is. I mean, I'm sure, I can't speak on behalf of Verizon Media. I'm sure they have plenty of incredible signage that is valuable, but I don't think that's why a lot of brands would look to partner with us. And if we just came out as La Liga and said to Verizon on day one, hey, here's some LED boards, they would have passed on. I mean, we probably wouldn't have a relationship. So I think, as Sam mentioned, this is where the value of someone like Sam and Wavemaker come in, is making sure that you are coming in with a solution-based partnership that hits on objectives of brands. It's just going to make it a better opportunity for everyone. And the ROI will be way better. And then as a result, fans will get potentially better experiences consuming La Liga with whatever that brand may be, whether it's experience, whether that's $1,000 in free bets, whatever it may be.
Well, I think like it also can get really, really simple, which is like, are you doing something that fans would share with other fans? Is your partnership, or are you activating something that is worth talking about? When you talk about earned media, it's like, yeah, you can do, banners, you can do site-wide takeovers, things like that. But if you're building something from a partnerships perspective that fans A, want, B, see value in, then they will share it. And that's where the amplification really, starts to work. And that's where partnerships start to make the most sense. The idea of creating something that doesn't resolve a fan issue, doesn't address any sort of main concern, is going to be an investment that basically dies on the cutting room floor. And so from our perspective on the brand side, it's, can you build a product? Can you build a offer? Can you build an experience that is good enough that it amplifies 2x? You share it once, you get it to 2+ people.
Yeah, and I also think, like, for instance, I've done a campaign as an influencer with DoorDash. I just got back from Manchester, and I did a trip with Marriott Bonvoy and their partnership with Manchester United over the weekend. And one of the things that I like to highlight, especially in marketing, because I know a lot of brands, leagues, clubs like to work with influencers, is be anti-cringe. Like anything cringy, you just rolled your eyes. I saw that. I don't know. It hurts. It hurts to watch it. And one of the things that I think about, when I put on my influencer cap on my profile is, what is shareable? And you just said it. Like if I'm scrolling through and I see something, I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. Like I'm about to forward that to like my circle of friends, because in my circle of friends, they're going to share that to their circle of friends, and so on and so forth. So one of the things that we were talking about before is the connection
Yeah.
of the fan base. And one of the things that I've realized is that I'm a soccer fan, right? We're all fans of soccer at the end of the day. Am I a fan of Man United? Am I a fan of Liverpool? Am I a fan of Real Betis, Atleti? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I want to go to a game and enjoy it and experience the fandom. And through content and marketing, like that's what you really want to share, is the shareable types of content that's really going to connect brand, club, league, agency through that as an intermediary with the experience of it all, especially I think through 2026. I mean, starting now, building up those types of hits with influencers or talent, and then keep on going beyond 2026.
We talk about that a lot with our clients. Is you know, we expect that in the lead up to 26, there's going to be a market influx of requests for, you know, media spend and partnerships, et cetera. It's like,
I hope you put my name in there.
of course, yeah. I actually, yeah, everything forwards to your inbox. But
You've never forwarded me one thing that's shareable. So,
but I think our
in the inner circle.
Our challenge back to the clients is generally like, well, what are you doing now? You know, and how are you not going to come across? You talk about cringe. There is a cringe factor to a brand coming in just at that right that moment that they perceive as opportune, but you don't seem authentic to the soccer fan who's been watching, you know, LALIGA matches year in, year out, et cetera, et cetera. So
I think from the league side too, and club, it's got to be deeper, and it has to be a significantly larger investment than just, we have a U.S. office, we have a WeWork, here's a press release, see you in 5 years. Forget about it. You're not going to succeed. If you're going to connect with fans, you're going to have these shareable moments, you have to make sure you're there day in, day out. So what does that look like? It is through content. We have a content studio in Guadalajara, Mexico. Adrian was speaking earlier. They're pumping out an insane amount of content nonstop. And then they have also, that's editorial, they also have branded content. 40 watch parties for us this year. We're not just showing up in LA, see you again in 5 years. We're trying to build that relationship with fans where they can also share it and grow it and take it in together. And I think that has to live from an in-person, from a digital, and I would say there's, you know, it's going to continue to spread and grow.
I think one of the things that, like, when you enter the sports space and you're not trying to be cringe, from a brand's perspective, you just have to pay a little bit closer attention to the stories, because fans are telling the stories themselves, and then how do you amplify those stories through your connection to it? We just did something for the World Series where a granddaughter posted her 100-year-old grandma. She's born and raised in the Bronx, had never been to a Yankees game, and we sent her to the World Series. And that story...
she was bad luck?
She was at Game 4. She was at Game 4. We were not putting her in a position where they get swept. I mean, we did put her in that position.
I'm a Mets fan, so any opportunity.
Go Mets.
Yeah.
But the story was there, right? Like, the content's easy to showcase if we can put a fan that wants to be there in the place. That's the whole story. And obviously, it's easier in ticketing. We directly connect. There are businesses and brands that are not endemic to the sporting world that are involved. But the stories present themselves on a minute-by-minute basis. And your ability to sift through that, pick the right people, and then tell those stories. And then, you know, from a commercial standpoint, use those as ads. Like, it's one of those things where that is a story that is valuable, resonates, and is content that's meaningful. And so from a brand's perspective, I would just say when you're looking to engage fans, leagues, teams, look a little closer to the stories and the people that support and are passionate and fanatic about these sports, these events, these teams. Like, they are the basis for why you are entering the space. Like, the fanatics are the reason. It's not because of any other reason. They have built sort of the allure, the intrigue around the leagues and the teams. So tell their stories more loudly and give them the benefit from it. And I think that that's the best way to engage.
I love that you say the fans are the reason. And we'll talk about, you know, the power of the fan, because at the end of the day, fans are what drive the community, the commitment, and the game forward. But really over the past, let's say, year or 12 to 18 months, I'll put this first to Sam, how have you seen the growth of the fandom for soccer grow, just like as a little preview of what we're going to see going forward?
I mean, I think as somebody who advised on, a client partnership with Major League Soccer in 2022, right, early then, I won't say there weren't rumblings about, major global superstars joining that league then, but there was nothing in comparison to what was it, the June 23 when, Melissa knows better than anybody because she introduced him, but like when Leo Messi came to the US and Inter Miami, like I think that the something that we tell our clients who are interested in the soccer space is that the nature of the game and its importance on a global level mean that these seemingly small moves, one player moving to a new league in the US, have these seismic changes where all of a sudden the eyeballs on the product in the United States are grown by what, 100x, something like that.
And not just Inter Miami. This is across
and not
the
just
board.
Inter Miami, right? Like that, we like to think a rising tide lifts all boats. So I think in the lead up to 26, you see more players starring abroad, and so there's more international fans watching U.S. international matches, and then the U.S. product itself, but then also like the international players coming to this country and making their homes here, making this a real destination for soccer in leading into 26, and I can only see that growing exponentially.
If you look at soccer as well, people have been asking me, it's probably been 10, 15 years I've been working in soccer. People continue to say, when is soccer going to make it in America? It's been here. If you actually, soccer, everyone here probably knows it, or definitely knows it, but it's so fragmented. But if you actually take LALIGA, Bundesliga, Liga MX, MLS, Prem, even layer on Champions, or whatever it may be, add even the broadcasting rights and the revenues, you're then at the NBA, NFL levels. It's just, people often will look at it and say like, oh yeah, NFL, that is the sport for football. NBA, MLB, NHL, soccer, pick your poison. So I think if you look at it from a traditional revenue standpoint and broadcast, soccer's already there, fandom is there, they're consuming at a higher clip, especially with a La Liga player coming over this way, several. But I think honestly it's there. Then you even look at it then in our lens of just La Liga, the El Clasico last week, it was just on linear, on Deportes, in Spanish language, it crushed. I think it was 700,000-800,000 is what they put out as just the number for that, not including plus and streaming. So if you're looking at it, it's going to continue to grow, and you're seeing that not only in the audience and broadcast, but you're seeing that even in the events I mentioned. We hit capacity in Queens at 3,000 people within like 2 hours. With 3,000 people packed in a bar in Queens within like 2 hours of just opening registration. So you're seeing it not only from the audience, but from the attendance, and even then from the participation of like the content we're creating. So
is soccer here? The one operational statement I'll say is our CFO came to me and let us know that we're splitting out soccer as a category, as opposed to quote unquote other sports. And
Let's go.
Let's go.
And
guys, we got out of other sports.
We are out of other sports. And secondly,
what's in other sports? What else are you guys doing? Badminton?
UFC, combat sports, things along
other
those
sports
lines.
isn't horrible then.
No, it's great. But the second largest event for our year this year was the final in Miami behind the Super Bowl. So when we're talking about revenue, the revenue's there. And not to drive everything from a revenue perspective, but generally revenue drives interest.
But hashtag business.
But let's go commercialize it. And so from my perspective, I'm the resident soccer fan at TickPick. It creates an unbelievable opportunity for us. For the next 4 years, we have something where meaningful revenue around the sport has sort of a tentpole event beyond just the seasons of MLS and NWSL. And that is significant in terms of the drumbeat of investment from a broader business standpoint. So, that's been, you talk about the Messi item. From a PR perspective, we inserted ourselves in terms of the change in ticket prices for Inter Miami. And I think we became oddly the authority on what, was driving the interest. But we probably had like 1,700 press pickups around the idea of price changes of what Messi brings to Inter Miami. So the media's there, the revenue's there. I think it's now just what are you solving from a fan pain standpoint, and that's how you can get involved and start solving some of these moments.
Which is a dangerous area to go in terms of what you're solving for fans, because you look at fan, and we mentioned it earlier, a fan for even La Liga is very different in maybe Dallas than it is in Miami. But you not even get into heritage demographics, but you get into how do they demonstrate their fandom, and that could be through EA Sports and gaming. Like I think I saw a stat, it was like 500,000 people know every player on a La Liga team, but haven't watched a La Liga game, but they just played a video game. It could be through Panini collecting cards. I had a killer card collection of hockey growing up in Canada. I don't know what happened to it now, but it could be through cards or collectibles. It still could be through NFTs. But so you have to think of, okay, how are you going to connect with the fans, and how they, what language they want to connect with your property or your club, where, and then in what type of product, ticketing, collectibles, gaming, whatever it is. So it goes back to what I said, no silver bullet.
So give us the trade secrets, guys. What has been converting that you've seen, especially over these past 12 months?
Hosting virtual meet and greets where Melissa Ortiz is the host.
Those virtual ones. Wait, is virtual still like a thing? Is it working?
There's still a place.
Okay.
I think there's still a place. I mean, there's nothing like getting an in-person experience, but I still think there's a place for it. We're also coming at it from the perspective of foreign sport league activity in North America. A lot of people will see us and say like, "Oh, La Liga, do you guys? When's the game happening here?" Which, stay tuned. But when is a game happening here? And right away you have to say, no. There are no games here, but this is what we're doing to connect with fans. And what's converting, it goes back to it's different for every partner. With Verizon, we've been doing a drive to retail where we're bringing 6 or 7 different moments of the year where we're cramming their stores full of predominantly Spanish speakers in a store in LA on a Saturday at 10 a.m. And they're like, when was the last time we had 700 people in our store speaking Spanish with a high conversion? So for them, that works. But for Panini, it's a gaming program where people are opening packs. We have, Iker Casillas, we have Patrick Kluivert, Puyol, all these stars playing against amateur gamers, and they're opening packs on screen. They're signing cards on screen. Like, I'm sending you that. If you score 3 goals against Puyol in gaming, he's going to send you a card, whatever it is. So for them, it's also integration of their products. So I think we have a lot that's working, which we've had lots of great partnerships and still do. So I think it's goes back to that solution-based partnership.
I think it's interesting. I mean, one of the first panels I heard today, we talked about the evolution of fandom, right? And consumption habits, specifically, like how fans are watching the sport or not, right? And I mean, I'm father of a 3-year-old, right? So I don't get to watch a slate of Saturday matches the way that I used to. But I follow Melissa Ortiz on Instagram, and she's weaving her commentary throughout the day on various leagues. And if there's a brand message in there, then maybe I'm more receptive to that. And I think that that fandom is evolving. I feel like, not to beat a dead horse and mention the little guy on Inter Miami again, but like his presence here has changed things so significantly, because that now all of a sudden you talk about fan pain points, right? Like in 22. There wasn't this demand for Inter Miami tickets the way that we see now. And so all of a sudden, if my clients can help address that and provide not only tickets to see him, but also, and his team, but also experiences that correspond with it, then that's something that, fans are going to care about. But it's almost, it's almost parallel path with that digital experience that I mentioned first.
I think from our side, being a challenger brand in the ticketing space, where like we don't have the budgets or size of a SeatGeek, a Ticketmaster, it's finding where they're not paying attention. and capitalizing. And it's almost depressing how easy that is because, you know, when you talk about painting people with a broad brush stroke, we launched Spanish creators, Spanish language ads in a industry that did not have Spanish language creative in the US. And it's been our most successful TV ad for the last year. It's driven the most value in terms of Southern California, you know, soccer attendance, soccer transactions. It's allowed us to work with a broader audience and a broader demographic, and we're solving issues that, you know, certain fans have not been spoken to for sort of lack of attention or lack of care. And, you know, our ethos on our team is just like, there are fans everywhere, so find them. And find how they want to be spoken to. And it's pretty easy to solve that when maybe some of the competitive set isn't paying as close attention as they should to the changing demographics or the changing interests of the North American market.
Hispanic marketing is a massive driving force, and I've seen it as well from my lens as well, just how much importance brands are giving to it, because it's true. I mean, a lot of the dollars spent, especially Latinas in household, make a lot of those types of financial decisions at the end of the day. So I've seen that, one, through studies, but also through brand work itself. We have about 5 minutes. Does anybody have any marketing questions or anything that you want to be answered? No, he just stood up. That was awkward. Yeah. All right. Well, we promised a Eminem song, so
we didn't fill every seat.
Oh, you're right. Dang it. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Soccer X.
Thank you.